Hello again, everybody. It's Whiskey here, and welcome back to another Path of Titans video. And in this video, as the title suggests, I'm talking about how the DB Acro is definitely the most effective dinosaur available at this moment, in the meta, as they say. I think after the update that it got recently, George changed it around a little bit, so now you have to run in duos. It was pretty OP in trios, so he reduced the limit now to 2. But with that, he increased the combat weight to 5,700. Its stomp damage is increased to 120. Its stomp radius is still 400, even though that was a decrease. It's still a really decent stomp radius. And then the main thing that he did to nerf it a bit, because it was ridiculously overpowered, he used to be able to stack with its armor subspecies, and then its reclusive ravager armor buff, and its durable hide armor buff, and then the power up armor buff. All those together, I think, gave it like 40% extra armor, maybe even 45. So it was crazy, like strong and tough, and you could, face tank PT Gigas, PT Rexes. It was pretty much a trade-off with the PT Rex, and we tested. It could face tank Tyranno Titans and any other sub Apex easily. Karks, I mean, it was face tanking. It almost face tanked an OG Rex. OG Rex had just barely a little bit of armor left, and we just did face tank testing, and it was crazy strong. So that's if you stacked all the armor on it. And that was just, of course, the face tank. So imagine if you're, obviously when you're playing on these, you don't just go up and face tank. You actually, get in and out and hit and trade. And when you do all that, you're pretty much invincible before, if you knew how to play it and what it could do. So it was definitely a good change, and it balanced it out. But what it did is still, if you use the armor subspecies, you can still get 25% armor on this thing. And he increased the combat weight to 5,700, so it does more damage, and it is still tankier than it was before on base stats. And then you can add that extra 25%. So it's a little bit more balanced, and the fact that you can only have 2 definitely helps a lot. But what it really did, I think, is it made it an excellent solo pick. If you're just going to play by yourself, I think this is the very best thing you can pick in the game in terms of being able to survive most situations and being able to kill most of the things that you hunt. It's got, for a sub Apex, it's very fast, but it's still tanky. It's got the best tail knockback, or one of the best tail knockbacks in the game, maybe second only to an Amargasaurus. It's got a stomp, an excellent stomp. And then it's also got a dash or a charge that helps you go super fast to track, to chase stuff down or to get away from situations. It's got a good damaging bite and a bleed bite. You can swap that out, one of those bites out, for a charged bite that does even more damage and has some debuffs that go with it. It's got really good turn radius. So it's got like all the tools in its kit that you need to be a solo survivor in Path of Titans on the Apex Killers community server. I think it wins any 1v1, all things being equal, players of equal skill. I think any other sub Apex you put up against it, it's going to win the 1v1. And plus it has the heal call, not to mention, it's got a lot of really great tools, and just everything about it just makes it an excellent solo choice right now. And then, of course, if you get a partner, it's even better. The passives that it has are catered to solo play, so both of them give you a buff. The one I have right now gives you stamina, and the other one gives you even more knockback and knockback resistance. The one that you're seeing on the screen now is just the gold foot with the green arrow. That one's the stamina. help, and then the other one is a knockback. So I typically use the other one just because that knockback is very, very powerful. And then I've got the Reclusive Ravager on, which is that head that you see, the icon of the Acro head there, and that gives you the extra damage, or the extra armor and damage that you need. So it's like passives actually cater to solo play, which even is another one of the reasons why it makes it an even better solo choice. So if whenever I'm playing by myself, if I just want to hop on something and have the best, chance at surviving and winning most of my hunts and not have to have too much of a challenge, I'll pick the DB Acro. I know I'm going to win most of my situations, most of my fights, and most of the situations I get in, I'm going to win or get away from. And so it even became a little bit too easy for me, and so I kind of stopped playing it. I pick it up from time to time, but I used to play it a lot. Like that was my kind of go-to every time I would log on to the game, just because it was so good, and it is so good. But it's actually kind of become easy, so it's a little bit too easy. So I like to pick stuff that's a little more challenging now, so I'm not playing it as much just for that reason. But for a beginner or for somebody that's new to the game or new to the Apex Killers server, this is an excellent choice, whether you're playing with a friend or playing by yourself. So if you want to have the strongest advantage possible, I think this is the pick for sure. And then the cool thing about it is, if you do want a challenge, then you can go and just look for sub titans, look for DB Gigas, and look for solo OG Rexes and stuff like that. And you can certainly challenge yourself on one of these. One of the challenges I like to go after is PT Rexes or PT Gigas even. It's a good fight as a solo DB Acro right now. And the nice thing is you still have a really good fighting chance against anything else. If you might get overwhelmed or get jumped by a pack of mid-tiers or something like that, this is going to give you the best chances of survival in those situations as well. And all the other sub-apexes are all good, very good dinosaurs and good choices. It's just that I think this one edges them out when you look at all the different situations you could be faced with as a whole and all the different scenarios that you might run into. I think this is going to be the most versatile pick. All the others have strengths in certain areas and are also very good in different ways. But I think, like I said, if you're going to be able to face whatever's thrown at you, this is my pick for that, to being the most versatile, and why I think it's the meta right now. And of course, I am talking specifically about Apex Killers community server, because on a lot of the other servers, this isn't as good. It doesn't have as good a turning, and it's not balanced properly. So it's that's just want to be clear about that. I'm talking about specifically on the Apex Killers community server. It's really, really hard for me to find. I'd look at other realism servers and other community servers out there, and there's a lot of good ones. It's just that the biggest problem is that most of the servers just throw these dinosaurs in with vanilla stats, and they don't do any really meaningful adjustments to them. That's why I stick with Apex, because George does balance these, and I really, really can't say enough about that and how good that is, and how, when you play a dinosaur like an Aloe on here, you can tell immediately that it is a very, very good dinosaur, and it feels like nothing else. Like you'll never play on any other server with an OG Aloe and feel as good as you do when you're playing an OG Aloe on this Apex Killers community server. And the same goes for this DB Acro. He's given it the turn that it needs. It's not slow. It doesn't have a horrible turn radius like it does on most of the other servers, and so that's what makes it so good. So I just wanted to be clear about that. If you're trying to play this on another community server, you might be like, what the heck is Whiskey talking about? This thing sucks. But it's specific to this server, so just keep that in mind. That was the DB Acros against the Yangs. You can see how well it does against them. And then even the great triceratops is something you can hunt on these things. When you're in a duo, this great triceratops is one of the most dangerous herbivores in the game. Extremely difficult to fight on most dinosaurs, and they're even a challenge even on a DB Acro. But this clip will show you here that is doable and how you can do it. It just really exemplifies all the different tools and the abilities and the play style of the DB Acro when you're fighting something this big and dangerous. You can see here in this clip I am using that other attribute. That's the golden hide looking icon on the screen there, and that's the knockback variant. It gives you more knockback with your tail, and then it makes you more resistant to knockback. So it's excellent, like when you're fighting the Margosauruses or anything that does knockback. You can tail ride them a bit easier if you can't dodge their tail attacks, and then your tail knockback is good enough to knock back a trike like I just did right there and keep them from getting a solid hit on your back. You can knock them out of their charge, by the way, if they charge at you. A lot of the dinosaurs that have a charge, especially the trikes, if you well time that tail attack and you time that well, you're going to knock them right out of that charge, and it doesn't do any damage, or it limits the damage greatly to you if you do it right. You can tell by our health here that this isn't an easy fight by any stretch of the imagination. It's a difficult fight, but it can be done. And this guy is he's a sub-titan, so he's 2 tiers above us. We're sub-apex, then there's apex and sub-titans. So both heavier tiers than us, or higher weight classes than us. So we're fighting something, like I said, two tiers above us. It just is a good example, I think, of how well you can do on these things in a duo. There's not many duos that can take out a great trike, especially one like this. This is a good fight. Like, this person's very smart. They're using the environment properly. They're not just sitting out in the open. But we have our abilities. We've got our heals that we can use. We've got the bleed that we're stacking on them, the tail knockback to keep them from charging at us and to keep from getting real solid hits on our body. And if we need to in a pinch, if he does charge us and we get surprised, well, we've got a charge too to get out of the way. And then, of course, you've got superior turn radius. It's a very good turn radius. It's something that's buffed in this server. You're going to find the turn radius is horrible on these in most servers, but it's very good on this server. And then the other Acro I was with was using that charge bite, and I was using the regular bite and the mutilating bite. So it's definitely helpful to use a combo of those two, so you've got kind of the best of both worlds when you're in a duo. But as you can see here, this is also a sub-titan, DB Giga. They've got flesh grays, and 2 DB Acros can pretty much face tank one of these, as you can see here in this clip. I mean, we both were at half health at the end of that. And then here's another one. This one was a little more experienced than the other one. He was trying to use the ant hills and the environment a little bit. He was using his knockback very well. He was getting flesh grazes off, so he made it a more difficult fight. But as you can see here, 2 DB Acros is still a very dominant setup compared to a solo DB Giga, which is one of the most OP things in the game with its Flesh Graze. It's also got a stomp and a knockback, and it's definitely a tough target, to say the least. He had a successful Flesh Graze, successful tail knockback right there, and now he's using the rock, which is very smart, making himself a really hard target. So we waited him out, waited for our heal calls to come back, which also gives us some armor. You can see our health is just increasing, and he knows that, so he's starting to move away from the rock and try to push us a bit, which is actually good for us, but he's kind of in a lose-lose situation, because if he sits there and gives us time, we're just going to continue to heal. So he's got to pressure us, but if he comes away from the rock, he's leaving his back exposed so that we can get some damage on him. But it just goes to show you how difficult it is to fight the DB Acros and how good they are. I mean, the DB Giga, I think, is a harder fight than an OG Rex, because the OG Rex just doesn't turn as good and its bite animation is very slow. And the DB Giga has Flesh Graze, which will give it a lot of health back, so he can counter our heal calls with that Flesh Graze. He's also got a stomp, which does tons of damage. It'll do like 200 damage to us, and the tail knockback to keep us away. I think he was waiting for his friend in this case, but I don't believe they were grouped, because his friend doesn't really come to help. He just kind of stands out there and has to watch his friend get picked apart by us. And that's the last shot there. I'm just going to get a headshot on him real quick, because I can tell he's low, and boom, he goes down. So that's the DB Acro, guys, after the update. Definitely think it's the meta right now. I think that's my go-to if I want to have the best chances of survival and the most success at hunting. This is the one I'll choose as a solo, but like I said, it's also excellent when you're grouped up. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you learned something, and let me know if you have any advice or questions, anything that I might have missed in the comments below. And I do appreciate you clicking on the video. If you haven't already, do all the YouTube-y stuff, like and subscribe, and do the bell icon and all that good stuff. And as always, guys, I do hope to see you out there in Gondola. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.